Well, I'm pretty excited today to have my buddy Vick Green. Vick, how's it going today?
Man, great to be here. Great to be here. Good to be with you, man.
Yeah, Vic is just outside of Nashville in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and Vic is with a ministry called Replicate. They're a nonprofit. Those, if you want to check it out, you can go to replicate.org. And Replicate really is a ministry, and it's really existing to help local church leaders make disciples that make disciple makers. And you can do
Yeah.
that whether it's in your home, whether it's individual, in groups, in churches. And they've literally trained thousands of pastors and people, thought leaders in the faith space all over the maybe say world. I don't know. I know the United
Yeah.
States, but I
Yeah.
don't know if you've gone international yet. But Vic,
Yeah.
tell
We
us
have.
a little bit more about you, your family, kind of what's up for you today.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's great to be with you. It's always good when we get to be together. And so usually it's grabbing breakfast together, but this has been really fun. And so yeah, my name is Vic. My wife is Sophie, and we live in the Nashville area. Been here for about 2 years, working with Replicate. We have two little ones, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So we're like in the throes of it right now. So
You
we
got a
are we
busy
are
household. That's a busy
yes.
household at that age, right?
That's right. There's no one that says, "Oh man, that's easy." I have yet to hear that. Usually, there's a lot of "Oof, don't miss that date."
Yeah,
So
I
it
know.
is. It's sweet. It's fun, but it has been busy. And yeah, been a Replicate for 2 years. Previously, originally from Louisiana, and actually came through Replicate's network of churches
Mm.
that they were helping. We were on the recipient end for a while. Saw God do some amazing things down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Big LSU fan. We're on the campus of LSU doing ministry to the football players, the city, college students, and then got to come up here to be a part and kind of be the director role at Replicate, helping equip churches across the nation. And occasionally we have the international ones as well. And
That's good.
I usually don't do as well with that, translating over, but
We're gonna
we
have
do
to
have it
up
occasionally.
your up your foreign language skills a little bit before you
That's
can go
exactly
through.
right.
A little backstory behind Vic. Robbie Gallaty is a team member, is kind of the founder of Replicate. And I don't like to call him your boss, but he is the founder of
That's all
Replicate.
right.
And I'll just mention also that Robbie's a great guy. He's the pastor
Mm,
of one of the largest, if not the largest and fastest growing Southern Baptist churches in the country right
yeah.
now. And I've had the privilege of actually attending that church almost 30 years now myself.
Man, it's
And
come a long way, hadn't it? You've seen the
I
thing
know
or
there were
two.
a couple of hundred members there when I started, and then Robbie came on board. He's been there about 6 years, and he's become a real good friend. And he called me one day, and he said, "Hey, Big A," he said, "I've got a situation I want you to help me work through." And so he told me, and he said, "We're doing Replicate, and we're doing this discipleship ministry." And he said, "We're having a hard time really getting these cohorts together." So I want you to take it from there, Vic, and kind
Yeah.
of go from your side, the conversations that y'all had, kind of the challenges that y'all were facing initially, and
Yeah.
how we kind of walked alongside you and helped you put it together.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were trying to figure out. I think a problem we were trying to solve was how do we increase our level of partnership with churches? How do we provide really high level coaching and consulting that still scales? And I think that was our tricky piece. I think we were either getting okay, we're investing a lot of our time and seeing a lot of transformation in churches,
Mhm.
but we could only do 20 people, or we just didn't have the time to it, or we were giving them, we were helping them a little, but it wasn't seeing the transformation. And we were reaching a lot of people, but they weren't seeing the breakthrough in their churches. And so for us, we just had that really difficult tension. How do we give the partnership that church leaders deserve? And how do we do it in a way that can scale? And in our time, we could give as much as much as we could within the limitations that we had, and have the biggest impact. And so for us, we had tried a lot of different things, doing in-depth coaching. We had people on site. We tried virtual. We just never could kind of crack that code. I think there were a couple of limitations. Probably one of the biggest is we didn't have it to where it was still always dependent on us to bring content. It was on us to be the one that brought the direct transformation in people's lives. And so when we started to get this idea of the mastermind and seeing this playbook that really you moved from always being the one who had to give to give that nugget of wisdom or to give that coaching insight. Like it was directly always on you, your shoulders, to really you built a greenhouse. You built a greenhouse for growth in church leaders. And so, what you showed us, Big A, was like, hey, it doesn't have to be all on you. And you don't have to have you can scale what you're doing through some key systems. And so you gave us kind of that framework that, man, we've done it. And I think we are reaching out the gate, in round one, already reaching 3 times as many church leaders as we were. And I would say we're actually giving greater impact than we were beforehand. So it's been a huge piece for us to get the transformation at the church level for what church leaders need, but being able to expand who we all are able to do it with.
It's kind of cool because you had a concept, but you didn't have the framework that you could implement the strategy. And so we just walked alongside you and gave you the framework. You and along with the rest of your team came to the live event here in Nashville, and we did that for 2.5 days, and we really enjoyed that process. Speak to that just for a minute and maybe point out some things that you felt were beneficial to you at the live.
Yeah. So what I loved about it, I really appreciate. Like, I'm big on just practicality. Like, theory is great, but golly, like, how do we actually do this thing? And I think what you had with that Mastermind playbook when we came, what I appreciated, and what kind of unlocked, like, kind of for us, unlocked this idea was like, one, you had a proven model. And you were seeing you doing it, and you were living out. You saw the leaders that you had in ISI, and you could see the transformation that they were seeing, that they were experiencing, and you're like, man, okay, there's something to this. But then you not only did you come in and give the kind of like 30,000 feet, the vision, like you didn't just inspire us towards that version for us. Man, that playbook, good night. I mean, it's still it is down to every nitty gritty detail. And so I know you put together all of that, Big A, right?
Well, vision, we had a great team that helped put the minutia,
right.
the details in there. I'm not a real detail guy, but
I'm not either. There is no way the level that y'all put that thing together. It was incredible.
Let's talk through that for a second, because there's 11 steps in the playbook, and it kind of starts you out on ground level and allows you to kind of walk incrementally. Talk about that just a little bit, about some of the pieces that maybe you used and have implemented and have referenced, and maybe some opportunities to help you grow or scale going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it really did. It mapped everything out, everything that you need to get started, and then more, like things that you wouldn't need till year 3 or 4. Like it was there when you needed it, and so like I'm immediately going through this, and I'm thinking, how do we build this framework? And every question that I had, I mean, you could, I think Brooke just said, "Oh, go to that page. Oh, go to that page." So there was this anticipation because you've already done it. And so you really broke it down. So like some of the things that we were trying to figure out was, man, what's that huddle look like? How do you onboard people? How do you interview people? How do you know if somebody's a good fit? How do you market for it? How do you get the word out about it? Kind of what's that like? Even having Zach in there giving us just for marketing tips on kind of like, man, what's your message? Who is your primary audience? I mean, there were so many pieces that as we thought, how do we actually get this up and going? You guys anticipated not just that we needed to do it, but I mean, you had down to like, here is a template for your admin to take and run. And y'all's not just how prepared you were, but generosity in the giving of those resources, and then the support. Because I still like Brooke has been able to give us help. Like we would not have been able to get that implementation up and going without you guys. It really was an incredible resource that you guys knew we needed before we even did. And that was huge.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The thing that I've heard from your team is like not only just you, Vick Green, but other folks like Chris and then Todd and others could go and pull the documents. They could watch the videos. There's 34 videos in there, and you could go through and kind of get an overview of each step with these videos. And then, so it wasn't just for your use, they had total access, right? Your team did. And so that's what was really our vision when we built it, that it wasn't just for one person. You could have your whole team in there and involved and have access to the information. What do you think was one of your major problems? There was a lot of problems, I know, and we won't go through all of them, but what was one of the things that you felt like that the playbook was so effective in helping you solve? Is there one particular thing that really stands out?
Yeah, I would say we were struggling with always bearing the weight of bringing the content to the table,
Mhm.
and the success rising or fall on us and our presence. And what your playbook helped us do, and what the training sessions that y'all just continue to harp on, was getting the connection between the members through the accountability, like getting them pushing one another, giving frameworks like how you set up, like things like man in the middle and things like that in the leader session were huge. Like we were talking about literally today as we were evaluating it as a staff, like it just kept coming back. No, no, no. Get that off of you. Like push that to their accountability partners. Push that to the huddle. Push that to here. And I think you put in place things that helped take all the responsibility off of us, which allowed us to be able to scale it, which allowed us to bring in extra coaches to then train church leaders.
Mhm.
And so that framework is what kind of released us from being the bottleneck of the growth. So it was huge for us.
You know what's kind of cool? You just said that in a lot of the big obstacles that a lot of the people out there today are afraid of, and even starting a mastermind or a cohort that y'all call it, is that they think they have to have the answer to every question. They think that they show up, everybody there virtually or in person is asking questions, and Vick Green has to have all the answers.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing further from the truth. And that's what we're trying to teach people. Listen, you're the facilitator, you get it going, we get you together, and the perspective of the other people, the perspective of the other pastors in this case, or the other church leaders, are giving insights. So it's masterminding around this topic. It's like, hey, man, I didn't even think about that. Or we've tried this and it didn't work. Don't do that, do this. Well, you're a smart guy, but you don't have all the answers, and I don't have all the answers. But when you get that collectiveness and you get those people, and so I'm glad y'all are discovering that, because it really does relieve the burden
Yeah.
from you.
A great story just to illustrate that. We had a guy, we do personal and a professional goal, and that's their goal setting that they go in, which we use a lot of what y'all did. And one guy came in and he said, man, he was 300 something. He goes, my health is so bad. It's not good for my family. It's not good for me. It's not good for my work. I want to get it down. But like, he's just, I have no desire. There's apathy. He then connects, there's kind of twofold in the huddle. He then says, I want to lose 25 pounds. Well, then the next guy comes up. He says, I'm planning to lose 35 pounds. That guy comes back and says, okay, I'm upping it. Like if Q's going to do that, I'm going to do 35. So you saw it there. But then what's cool is he then posted to our group. He said, guys, I'm down 5 pounds this week. But what he then tagged on at the end was not, man, thank you so much, collective. Not even thank you so much, your coach. He said he shouted out his two accountability partners. He said, thank you guys for helping me get there. And like we didn't do anything. We just created that greenhouse for that growth. And I think that's a mind shift that we so needed to get out of our own way and kind of release that bottleneck and begin to grow.
So here what's cool is you've created the framework, you've got it, and you're bringing the people together. It's kind of like inviting everybody to your house for dinner, right? You got the table set. And then now these people are connecting, this human connection virtually, and they're
Yeah.
saying, hey, let's get to know each other. So they're building camaraderie, they're building team. They'll be friends even after this
Yeah.
COVID stops, right? They'll be friends. They develop
That's right.
these relationships. They got people to edify them, encourage them, help them along the path. And then you'll see that grow. You'll
Mhm.
also see these people want to stay longer because they've made connection, right? Now they
Yeah.
got friends.
That's
They've
right.
got people not only talking about discipleship, but now it's personal, right? They can walk
Yeah.
alongside of each other. They can encourage one another. And
Mhm.
it's just so cool to be able to see that. So I wanted you to kind of eradicate the fear from people out there that's
Yeah.
watching this, to think that you don't have to have all the answers.
Yeah, it is better if you don't. Like I sat down. I literally I had my coach call this morning like one of my coach calls this morning, and they asked me a question that I was the expert on, and they asked me a question that I had no clue on. Those were the two man in the middles. Both times I said nothing. Both times everybody else jumped in, and the guys left with more notes than they could have taken than if I had just answered, and left really excited. And I didn't say a single word. I just said, "Great call, guys." That was basically it. It was really that simple. And it takes a lot of work on the front end, which is what you guys do. But what you set the, like you said, the framework. You help us architect really that greenhouse effect that allows for that growth to happen, where you don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting once it gets started. It really has been incredible to see. The heavy lifting was on the front end, but now, I mean, golly, it's a lot easier than any one-on-one or one-on-two coaching I was doing before.
Yeah, you're really leveraging your time, right? I
Yeah.
mean, now instead of one-to-one, it's one-to-many, and then they do the work, you back out, let them continue, and you have a higher vision. Speak to the level of detail that you feel comfortable, but I
Yeah.
think you're approaching maybe 100 folks or getting close to 100, or 60 to 100 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So we launched at 60, and then we have our projections, kind of everything we're looking for is to enter 2022 with over 100.
Yeah.
We have already had not just individuals but network leaders coming to us saying we need a system for coaching, and we're like, we can help you. We got it. So we're talking through how we begin to scale that and be able to help not just individuals but networks to be able to provide that vehicle for them. So yeah, it's been it's surpassed what we expected in the launch. And at this point, I know this sounds weird, but like we really, what we're talking about is let's make sure that we grow at a pace that we can sustain. Let's not get out ahead of ourselves, because it really has. There's been a ton of people said, man, we needed something like this. This is huge. So we've already got our wait list, and we're pacing the growth at this point so that it'll be going strong year 2, year 3, and on.
It's a very niche market. Obviously, it's for a very specific person. So you know where to fish, right? You know where to go
That's
get
right.
the people. And so, what would you say to other people out there that are looking to do this, not broadly like kind of we're doing it, iron sharpens iron, because,
Sure.
but very niche markets. Do you think this would work for other niche markets like real estate investors or podcast hosts or coaches, things like that? Do you think this would be a good framework for them as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I think again, you may not, it may not start at 60. It may be less than that. Like, and that sometimes can be intimidating and to be like, oh my gosh. But like, I think just getting that first one and using this framework and getting it going, like there is a huge uh, need for it. Like, there's just accountability and coaching. Like, people don't need another blog post, another conference, another like they don't. It's really not as much inspiration. They go get that book on it, but they really need that accountability, that guidance, and man, that community. And when you can create a place where that can thrive, I mean, it can happen in any of those markets. And so I truly believe in it. Like, regardless what profession you're in, there's going to be that 20%, 10% you tweak, but 80% of this mastermind playbook stuff is going to translate across what you're doing, because you're coaching and you're providing help people be better leaders, but be better husbands or moms or whatever it may be. And so I would definitely encourage wherever market you're in to look into it.
Now, are you doing in person and virtual?
So we do all virtual, except we have an annual live event.
Good.
And so we have our annual live event that we're doing, and that's big. It's just we're doing so, like, think our leader huddles, but like amplified. Like, we're doing something really special there, and then really leaving a lot of space just to connect. Most of those guys, if they were living across the country, they just want to hang out with one another. And
Yeah.
they just want to, man, you said that. Tell me about your stuff. Like, they just want to network and make those connections, both professionally and then personally. And I say we don't do live events, but we have already had, just a few weeks in, we have already had multiple in-person meetings. It just happens between two accountability partners, and we don't know it's going to happen.
Wow.
Like, we've got a guy, they have already traveled 2-3 hours. People have got stuff on the calendar.
Wow.
One guy, they are swapping a deer hunt for a duck hunt at their places, and they're
Well, I
already
want in
set
on
on it.
that. Listen,
I know that's
I
right. That's
want
what
in on that duck hunting, so and the deer hunting also.
That's right.
Do you
And
believe?
man, I've already too, just again, like literally we're going to go to Hun camp and I just said, "Hey, I'll be there this weekend if anybody wants to go." And and I'll let you know. And dude, I'm telling you, 20 guys said I will be there.
Wow.
Like I will drop whatever I got, like to be with you guys. Like it's incredible. One dude said, "I've been here, I've been texting with you guys for just a couple of weeks. I feel like I've known you my whole life. There's nobody like this in my life that I can relate with and be this candid and open about,
Wow.
and who are trying to grow like I am, and have the same convictions that I do." So it's been the community and camaraderie, and it has been incredible.
You said something there that I think we need to expound on just a little bit. What resistance have you gotten from people meeting virtually versus in person? There's been a lot of resistance, minimal resistance.
Man, on the leader huddle end, none. I mean,
Uh,
especially post COVID, or not post COVID, but like since COVID,
yeah.
I think that's kind of become a new norm. And I think there's an in person element that's a great value add. That I think for us, we want you to look at the collective and we want you to say, man, I can't imagine leading without the collective, without these guys, without these relationships. We want you to not be in it for just a matter of months, but man, the duration of your leadership, year over year over year. One of the best ways we can do that is by adding a place where you can come and you can look forward to every year, get to know those guys. So for us, that part was really important. But in terms of the coaching and the virtual has not impacted the medium on one coaching, but two, just those initial connections, text, Facebook, virtual. These guys are already connecting as if they're lifelong friends, and they haven't met in person yet.
Well, you said something I think is important. And I know from being in leadership, it's kind of lonely sometimes. I mean, without a
Yeah.
question, right? You also, even in your own organization or even in your own community, we're a little bit guarded with what we're willing to share. How have you seen these people kind of let their guard down and be more vulnerable and transparent on these calls?
Man, yeah, you begin to see that because like they know that it's somebody who can relate. They know it's somebody like that. They don't have to be, they're being wise sometimes when they're holding back because they know like they don't want something to get out that outside of context and hurt somebody. Like, but whenever you're going across somebody that's the same seat as you, that understands that tension. But then somebody who's not in the same city as you, that's not in the same state as you, there's this freedom to say, okay, hey, here's what's going on. And what we have really found is a lot of people don't have that as much in their local place. So to have those people there, they can just be transparent and open about. I think it's been funny. We lined up. We had expert speakers, and some of them are, I mean, great speaker, like big names are in multiple books. Like in our community, there are some really high caliber people. Not one of them in all of the interviews I did, not one of them said that's why they signed up. They said that's really great and I can't wait for it and that's gonna be really exciting. And that definitely like I'm definitely excited about it. But I need one guy, I love Oklahoma boy, just said I need a push in the back and a pat on the back, and I just need that band of brothers. I need that community. I need that accountability, and that has been the message I heard every single time. And that's been what has been the resounding response that we've heard to this point. People saying that they're loving about the experience.
Yeah. Here's the thing too. You touched on another great point is that they're let their guard down and they'll share their secrets, they'll because it doesn't impact them. It doesn't affect them in a negative way whatsoever.
Right.
So people are sharing trade secrets and best practices. And
Yeah.
uh, what about sharing resources, ideas? Do y'all do any of that inside those groups as well?
Oh gosh, just even out of our call today. Like, I mean, our Zoom chat is filled with resource. Our Facebook, like as soon as the calls are like, guys, we gotta shut this down. Like people, it's time to go. And they're like, all right, I'm on Facebook, I'm gonna post it. And people, what's great is you have got high caliber leaders that are sharing their best resources. They're sharing what the resource they're most proud of, what's helped them the most in their situation, the books that they read that helped unlock something for them. Like there's not a call that I've been on that I don't think that we've had probably 4 or 5 different resources that have been dropped saying, hey, if you want more on that topic, go here. Hey, if you want a practical tool that you can start using like next week, here you go. So that's one of my like love languages, is to share tools and share little tricks that work. And so I've loved it. I've been stealing stuff from our guys all the time. Like, yeah, that's great. I'm gonna take
Good. That's
that.
good. You know, what's pretty cool when you're in a specific niche industry, also, you get to know other people, which could open up opportunities for speaking,
Yeah.
for collaborating on writing a book together. You could
Mhm.
create other resources together. You could exchange and swap resources to use in your industry. I mean, really, if you think about it, you've just opened up a whole new world. I mean, they don't have to count on the resources that's geographically located in their community, but now
Sure.
it's national and international opportunities to get the best resources that there are
Sure.
out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's not why we started this. Like, we started to serve our people, but it's been incredible, one, to see it help one another. We knew that. But even then, we've had so many come back and say, hey, would you come speak here? Would you come help with this? Would you come, and so like the networking element of it has been incredible to see across peers and just with us saying, man, like, we love what you shared here. We would like to hear more of that. And it's been so easy I think that's been a lot of our conversations, and a lot of the guys recently is saying, man, how do we do more of what we're talking about here?
Mhm. Vic, let me just say, I know we're at the end of our time. Thank you for sharing this half
Yeah.
hour with us. But what would you say to somebody that might be on the fence about purchasing the Mastermind playbook? What would be a word of caution or a word of encouragement? What would you say to somebody that's kind of deciding to start these cohorts or intensives or these masterminds?
I would just say it really is easier than you think, and what you're going to get with that the Mastermind playbook. I think Big A, you do a great job at lovingly calling and challenging people to step
Mm,
up out of their comfort zone to step into their potential. So I think you get the best of Big A with that. If it's a heart level that you're a little nerdy, you need a little courage. But if you need just some practical help of how to do it, that's where Brooke in that playbook. I mean, good night. It is down to the T. So it really does hit both the head and heart. Like, so whatever that challenge, if you're there and you're saying, man, I just don't know about now. Like, I have been surprised how easy it is right now to equip 60 church leaders
mm,
in a way that we were not doing beforehand. And we have the future through this vehicle. Like, it is helping us serve our mission, and we have a vision that's so much bigger than what it was a year ago, because we see this vehicle working and the sky's the limit in it.
wow.
And I didn't realize it could be that easy and have that much. Like, and the reason it's easy is you've gone before us. You showed us what to do, and we just imitated what you guys did, and
Yeah.
as we're learning, we're innovating a little bit. But I mean, we started there, and it's been a great start.
How long do you think it would take you or your organization to put together the 11 steps, all the documents, the procedures, the coaching? Do you think it's really kind of kind of helped your progress right out of the
Yeah,
gate? That's kind of a loaded
yeah,
question, but do
yeah,
you
yeah.
think you could have put it together? And if so, how long do you think it would have taken?
There's I have man, how long it would take? One, we wouldn't have had 11 steps. We'd had like three and been like, I sure hope this is good enough. If we didn't have you guys. And so, but using that playbook there, like, I mean, it not only amplified the impact tenfold, it cut the time down tenfold.
Mm,
Like, it really, I mean, it was clear. What does our huddle look like? I would have had five. I probably would have had 5 meetings just to land exactly what's the best way. Instead, we looked at it, said, "You feel good about that? Hey, let's tweak that one little thing. Cool, you good with it? Yeah." And like those conversations happen all along the way, and we're seeing fruit from it immediately. So it was an incredible game changer.
I know what you guys paid for it. It wasn't a gift. You did buy it.
That's
And I
right.
know what you charge for the cohort. And if you do the math, it's pretty easy that with two groups, you got all of your money back in 45 days.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes kind of a profitable venture from, 45
right.
days forward, and you've got now, 60, 70 people and on the way to
Hmm.
100. So
Hmm.
would it be safe to say it's a pretty small amount to pay for the return on investment?
Yeah, the value it's gonna bring you, it's so worth it. Like I said, like to try to figure this out without a playbook. I talked to a guy who literally runs his own masterminds, has been a lot at them, and I told him what we were doing. He said, "Holy cow, I've never heard of a mastermind that is that has that much added value to it and structure to help." He goes, "That's incredible." He's been doing it his whole time, so he's already up and going. And so to start out that way, being almost like a rookie to this, man, like this is my first mastermind experience, and he's now as an kind of the expert in it,
Right.
facilitating, doing it, saying, okay, so what are you doing? And so the value that it adds, and even just the cost, like, man, the cost is nothing based off the gain that you'll get and the impact you'll make.
Vic, it's been fun today. I want to tell our audience that's listening, you can go to mastermindlaunchintensive.com. We're going to be doing another interview tomorrow with Shane Sams, Flip Lifestyle. I don't think you'll want to miss that either. But I'm going to tell you something. He's going to have to bring his A game if he even comes close to what Vic has given us today. Vic, this has been outstanding, man. Thank you so much. If we can serve you in any way, if we can help you in any way, please let us know. We want to walk alongside you. We want to continue to help you be successful. So, man, I appreciate you being here. Any final comments, thoughts, or words?
Man, grateful for you guys. Y'all changed, changed the future for what we were doing and the church leaders that we were serving. And you guys, you really are. That's a very genuine any way we can help, because we've done that. We've done the text at the last, in the last minute saying we need help. And so really grateful for not just the content that you give, but the spirit behind it and your generosity, and just your time and your resources, man. It's been a huge blessing to us.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot, Vic. Have a good one. Tell everybody I said hello.
Absolutely.
We'll
You
see you.
bet.
All
See
right.
you, man.
Bye bye.